Team exercise 23. Similarities and differences. In this exercise, the team will sit or stand in a circle at equal distances from each other. The team will split itself in two groups. The groups will stand at a distance from which they can't hear each other. One person from each group takes a pen and a paper. This person will write down all the similarities the group will find. The purpose for the group is to find similarities that apply to all of them. Challenge the group to not look for similarities based on appearance, such as hair color or height, but instead similarities that have more meaning. For example, I'm very sociable. For every characteristic, the person checks if it applies to everyone in the group. In this case, one person in the group doesn't identify with being sociable. Because sociable is not the characteristic they all identify with, it will not be written down. Now he comes up with a new characteristic until he finds one everyone can identify themselves with. Now the participant comes up with, I like to play sports. The group checks with each other if they all like to play sports. In this case, the whole group agrees that they like to play sports. This characteristic will now be written down on the paper, and it's the next person's turn to find a similar characteristic. The next person comes up with picky. Everyone agrees that they are all picky people, and they write it down on a piece of paper. Everyone will find a characteristic, so that 5 similarities will be written down on the paper. Both groups come together and present the similarities they found. It's interesting to see how the groups both have different similar characteristics and to see which group has the most specific or outstanding similarities. Now the second part of the exercise starts. Instead of similarities, the groups now look for differences. One by one, the participants in the group name a characteristic of which they think they probably are the only ones in the group having it. The first person names a characteristic of which he thinks only he possesses, for example, vain. The group checks if only this participant finds himself a vain person. In this case, no one else finds himself a vain person, so this trait will be written down on the paper below this person's name. Now the next participant calls out a trait, in this case, likes to pretend. Again, she checks with the group if she's the only one that likes to pretend. In this example, she's not the only one and nothing will be written down on the paper below her name. She mentions another trait, of which she thinks only she possesses. This time she says sarcastic. The group reveals if they think they share this trait. In this instance, no one finds themselves sarcastic and the characteristic will be written down below her name. Everyone will get a turn until there are 5 unique characteristics on the paper. Now it's time for a little competition, and the game element will be added to the exercise. The groups come together again. Now one group will guess from the other group what unique characteristic belongs to which person. One group names the unique traits one by one without mentioning to who they belong. The first trait they name is vain. The other group will now discuss until they unanimously make a decision to whom they think the trait vain belongs. In this case, their guess is incorrect and they don't receive a point. The next characteristic is hates clowns. The group discusses and unanimously comes to a decision. This time they guessed correctly and they receive 1 point. Continue guessing until all unique characteristics have been named. In this case, the group correctly guessed 4 times, so they receive 4 points. Now it's the turn of the other group to guess which trait belongs to whom. They say the first characteristic, punctual. The other group discusses to which it belongs and comes to an answer unanimously. They guess correctly and receive 1 point. After all unique traits have been mentioned and guessed, this group has received 5 points. The group with the most points wins the guessing game. The trainer guides the team and applies variations to the exercise. What kind of variations you can read below this video on YouTube. And please subscribe to our channel to see a new team exercise each Sunday on youtube.com/teamexercises to improve cooperation and communication.